Welcome to the call, all millionaires. Welcome to the call. My name is Amma Nancy, and I'm your host this evening. Thank you all so very much for calling, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the Self-Esteem Development Training Call, Obsessed with Success. If this is your first time calling in, I'd like to let you know that we do have these calls each and every Wednesday, and they are always filled with strategies and tips on self-esteem development, entrepreneurship, as well as secrets of the super wealthy. Trust me, these calls can honestly change your life. Now, I have the honor and the privilege to introduce Mr. Haziq Ali. Mr. Ali has a talent for bringing out the very best in people and seeing gifts in them that they do not even see in themselves. He helps people for a living, but he would totally do it for free. He's been an entrepreneur his entire life. We actually call him an entrepreneurologist. Mr. Ali is an author, a self-esteem development expert, and my personal mentor. Now, coming right up is Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am, Ms. Nancy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please take it away.
Okay. Welcome, millionaires, to episode number 105 of Obsessed with Success. Thank you so much, Ms. Nancy, for everything you do, both in front of and behind the scenes for the movement. And I want to thank every millionaire that can hear my voice. I am so honored to be alive right now and so honored to be sharing the planet with you. I feel like we have a shot here to change the world. I feel like the world is changing extremely quickly, and we have two choices. We can just go with default mode setting and just drift in the wind, or we can begin to live by design. What you choose is completely up to you, but there's one thing for sure: we have a choice. Body language first came into our consciousness around the time that a young congressman from Boston, Massachusetts, was running for the highest office in the land. He was running against a guy named Richard Nixon, and for the first time in history, the debate was going to be televised. Well, what happened next changed the entire trajectory of presidential elections from then on, because everybody who listened to the campaign debate picked Richard Nixon. Obviously, he was more experienced. Obviously, he had a greater command of the information, and it just shined through if you were listening to the audio. But for those that watched the television broadcast, it wasn't even close. Everybody knew our new president was going to be Robert F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy won that election because of the television broadcast. Matter of fact, ever since then, they don't even let the politicians wear these certain kinds of suits anymore. Ever since then, you'll notice that politicians never, everything from Nixon, he was walking with a slight limp because he had bumped his knee earlier that day, and then he was sweating profusely. He just looked all clammy and just, and that's what lost him the election. What a time to be alive. You now have Facebook. You now have Periscope. Facebook has a live feature that allows you to broadcast live from your timeline. You now, in effect, can turn your phone into a TV station. So never, at any time in history, has body language been more important. But here's the thing. Even without Facebook, even without Periscope, you send people signals constantly without even paying attention. The way you move your eyes, how you shake a hand. There are things you can do to send signals when you use your body language that will make people like you better, but even more interestingly, will make you like yourself better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 6 different categories, and we're going to run it up to 16 different methods you can use to not only make yourself more likable, but give yourself confidence. Make it so you like yourself. a lot more. Now, whenever I talk about techniques like these, there's always somebody who inboxes me talking about how manipulation is evil even, right? Listen, it's just like guns or nuclear energy. Manipulation or influence isn't negative. People with bad intentions are negative. Influence is just changing somebody's behavior or mind. There are people that need your influence. Manipulation is intentionally influencing someone's behavior or mind. There are people, and hear me well, this is going to be outside of your normal comfort zone, what I'm about to say, but there are people who need your manipulation. People are trapped in their comfort zones, and comfort zone is a coffin. If you don't find a way to inspire, motivate, or persuade these people, which John Maxwell says is the fifth responsibility of leadership, millionaires, you are shirking your duty. I'll give you a couple examples. Some mean girl in high school wants to reduce the social standing of one of her classmates. So she tells the other classmates that this person did something horrible. Now the classmates like this sweet young lady left. Sweet young lady now feels sad. That's manipulation on a negative level. Some would say evil, right? Mean girls. But here's another example. Patty is an experienced manipulator, let's say. It's so funny. Even though I know the real definition of the word, it even sounds weird to me when I'm saying it. But I want to test your comfort, right? Patty bumps into a friend. The friend wants to commit suicide. Patty's able to smile, hear the person out, give them a shoulder to lean on. Patty's associate doesn't commit suicide. Patty feels better about herself in the process. See, the problem with the mean girl example is not the manipulation. The problem is bad intentions and lying. So I have one simple request before I teach you these really powerful techniques. Some of them are going to seem really simple and common sense, but there is power in what I'm about to give you. My only request is that you use good intentions. Fair enough? Okay. I'm hoping that we have a deal. So before we get into it, let's just kind of think about this. The human mind is really judgmental. They call it heuristics, right? It's what's kept us alive. The flight or fight era in our progress, like in our evolution. We make judgments in split seconds. Is this a threat? Is this person attractive? Is this person useful to my social survival? Pay attention to this instinct, but don't act on it without knowing the person better. Even what I'm about to give you, this is not the gospel. It's like trying to judge, and I'll talk about it later on Periscope, but it's almost like trying to judge a character without having seen the story arc of the season. Kind of hard for you to figure out who that person is. So I just want to give you a few precepts that will make everything that I'm about to kind of show you a little bit easier. This is how I'm able to be such a good producer in my company. This is how I'm able to relate to people so well. This is also why I make mistakes sometimes, because sometimes I will maybe have such a good run that I think I know what I'm talking about. It makes me even more sure. This time I know what I'm talking about, and that, could be the time you're completely wrong. And, I was just talking about on the affirmation call this morning, but mastery is about reference points. So, hey, at least I was wrong in a brand new way, and that makes me that much better. But here are two things I want you to consider. You've got to feel secure and project confidence. These are things that will subconsciously influence your body language without you even trying. Feel secure. There are certain cases where not seeming confident can gain you likability points, but those are few and far between. I wouldn't count on it. Now, I know you can't feel secure and project confidence 100% of the time. No one's asking you to, right? Here's the point, though. If you try to remove things that make you uncomfortable, right, like maybe it's your clothing choices, start asking the people in the store to help you shop. Maybe it's your skin. Drink more water. You know, get a skin tonic, right? But then the second part is train yourself to feel more secure. Use audio books, you know, use good hygiene. Make sure that your body, you're proud of your body. If you need to work out more, then work out more. But here are a few other precepts that I just want to give you before we get into it. 1, everyone is a friend unless proven otherwise. Why burn a bridge before you've even built it? You have everything to gain. You have nothing to lose. And soon enough, you'll know if they want to be a good friend. But in the beginning, everybody's a friend. Everybody in that party is a friend. Everybody in that new school is a friend. Everybody at that new workplace or that old workplace is a friend, starting right now. Number 2, everyone deserves respect unless proven otherwise. Again, you got everything to gain and nothing to lose. This don't mean you got to kiss people's boots all day. But what this means is you shouldn't be trying to dismiss somebody or make anybody feel unimportant. Everybody deserves respect unless proven otherwise. And, you know, that takes a lot, doesn't it? Because here's the thing. You can't disrespect somebody else. You can only disrespect yourself. Here's the third one. Like everybody. Like them. Can't you feel when somebody likes you? Can't you feel when you like somebody? Well, do it on purpose. Strangers deserve to have the benefit of the doubt. In our world, anybody can be anything without looking at it. You'll see just real douches, right? That look perfectly normal, and then you know, you'll see perfectly normal people that might look a little bit like unsavory. Look at the cover of the book, but read a few pages before you judge. Neither the douche or the really successful, kind person are better than each other. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Being around one will make you feel unhappy, and being around the other will make you feel a sense of vibrancy and enthusiasm. I hope that makes sense to somebody. And here's the last one before we begin. Always think about what you can do for somebody else. When you meet somebody, don't think, what can they do for me? In the words of JFK, since we brought him up, you know, earlier, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Helping people is the best way to make them want to help you. 5 magic words that'll get you anything you want from anybody you meet. Write these down. How can I help you? One more time. How can I help you? Those are the 5 magic words that will get you anything you need from anybody you meet. The most selfish thing you can do for yourself is help as many others as you can. So again, what we're going to do is split it into 6 different categories. Write these down. Body posture, entering a room, the handshake, positioning, your face, and techniques and habits. You know, as you see, first we covered mental posture, but now we're going to start off with body posture. I hope you have something to write with. So millionaires, do you realize your body's not only constantly signaling the people you meet, but it's also signaling what you think about yourself? Yeah, it'll influence the snap judgments that people make about you, but isn't it a little bit odd that it's also influencing how you think, how you feel about yourself? So here's the first key when you're talking about body posture, and number 1 of our 16. Learn to stand up straight but relaxed. Stand with your feet as wide as your hips, right? That's an important one. Make yourself as tall as possible. When you do it, you're going to see how small people make themselves normally. Imagine yourself being pulled up by the top of your head, like a giant just picked you up, with his thumb and his fingers on your ears and just picked you up, right? Now you're as tall as possible. Stand up straight but relax. Now keep that feeling of being tall but relax your shoulders. Women are far better at this than men. Get better at this. Relax your neck. Angle your head so you don't have to look up or down, look an average person in the eyes, and that's when you know you're doing it right. Some quick tips, right? Like, what all I hear is my mother's voice in my head. She's like, stand up straight, you're going to be, and she would point at these people walking over like hunchbacks, and she'd be like, that's how you're going to grow. Good affirmation, Mom. But she had a point. You want to relax as much as possible while maintaining the posture. Don't puff out your chest. It should be flat, like you're lying on the floor. And pull your shoulders back, but very slightly. Test it out in the mirror so you know how your body looks when you're doing what. Now, the second one. Always have some tension in your core. We're talking about standing up straight and sitting up straight, but have some tension in your core. That's a good way to remember. Stop being so relaxed when you're out and about and representing your brand. When your abs, your back, your general core, it shouldn't be flaccid, like just sloppy and floppy when you're standing or when you're sitting. Keep your abs and your core in general under some kind of tension. It reflects well on your posture, but it also makes it easier for you to move with grace. How do billionaires move? You don't see them. You don't see them just like leaning over, just slouched. Have some tension in your core. And then number 3, I already kind of said it, but position your feet about hip width apart. There's a study that already shows, right, that the closer you stand with your feet together, the more that shows insecurity. Wider stance indicates confidence. So either way, if you go overboard, you look like a weirdo. So don't hold your feet too close together. Don't hold them too far apart. Try to aim for a position where your feet are at hip width or slightly wider, but not much. Hope that makes sense. The next section, entering a room. Entering a room is the next category we're going to cover. So tip number 4, because first of all, you got to realize the moment you enter a room, that's where it all begins. Quick little bonus. If you're in a party, if you're in a lounge and you want to, gather attention, just pause in the doorway. Just kind of stand there and gather yourself. People's eyes are always drawn to the doorway. There are ways you can, they call it peacocking and stuff. We won't talk about that right now, but the whole point is that this is where you're exposing yourself to the judgment. Make use of it. So here are some techniques to make use of it. I'm going to give you 3 for entering a room. 1 is feel so that you smile like you're happy to be there. Regardless of whether you are now, smile when you enter the room. Smile like you really like what you're seeing, right? Like this is exactly what you expected. You're so pleasantly surprised. Life is good. Don't overdo it. Don't laugh out loud. Smile like you stepped outside and just noticed the sun was beaming. Number 2, greet the crowd. Now, don't shout, hey, you don't have to be obnoxious, but listen. Now, I don't even want to say that. If there are people in there that appreciate that behavior and they're going to be obnoxious with you, that can kind of get the party started. They see somebody is like, everybody loves to see when people are happy. So I'm not trying to dull your shine. But all I'm saying is you can greet the crowd and it can be graceful or it can be boisterous. But the whole point is you look more in command. You look more self-confident because you're taking things in your own hands rather than everybody's waiting to greet you. You're being proactive. So you can take a moment to stand still or walk slowly while looking at the people in the room like you're drawing all in everything. Make eye contact. Don't glance over the crowd like there's some object. Look them in the eye. If somebody holds your gaze, smile at them. Make people feel like a positive influence just came in the building. Take your time. does two things that's important for a leader. It shows confidence and it signifies an open attitude. But here's number three, because I'm a special bag of tricks, right? I'm going into a networking event and I don't know anybody yet, and you're walking in, people say, you ever done that? I mean, because that's where some of your most valuable experiences are going to come from, when you get out your comfort zone and just go there by yourself. So here's a little trick for you. Okay, before I give you the trick, so y'all don't think I'm weird and whatnot, right? All right. Human beings are hardwired to jump on bandwagons. You know that, right? It's called social proof. You're going to pick the restaurant that's crowded, not the restaurant that's empty. It's called social proof. Okay, cool. Do you realize that by that same token, we're hardwired to respect people that have friends? We like people that have friends. So when you walk into the room and do your usual greet the crowd routine, I want you to follow it up. Try this tonight when you go out, or try this weekend. Wave to an imaginary crowd, wave to somebody that's in the crowd, and just mouth some words like, I'll be right over there. Do this, even if you have to do it to imaginary friends. At bigger events, keep in mind, people don't look 360 degrees. If you wave to a non-existent person behind them, they don't know you're just waving in empty air. That pretty girl is going to pay more attention to you if it seems like you're not some lonely loser. I'm just playing. No one's a loser. Everyone's a winner. But you get my point. They don't want you to seem lame. Same thing for ladies. Confidence is sexy. Confidence is attractive. So just wave to some imaginary friends and smile. It has a bunch of positive effects. People will assume you know people. You have more time now to calmly look around, and you'll feel more confident. Now that you can calmly look around and take careful stock of what's going on in the area, right? Next thing you know, you can kind of like get your bearings. Now you're feeling more in your zone. You're feeling in your vibration. You got to do this in full confidence. You got to turn on your Al Pacino, your Julia Roberts. Don't be timid. Wave like your best friend is across the room, and you're trying to communicate that you'll be there in a little while. All right? Now, if that didn't just change your social life, hey, listen. All right. Number 4. Nah, you know what? I'll just leave that around. I'll just leave it on. Let's just move on to the next one. So far I've given you 6. The handshake. The handshake. Our next category is the handshake. Now, you all know already, use a firm but gentle handshake. I still had to throw it in there because sometimes you'll still talk and they either squeeze your hand too hard or they feel like you're grabbing a limp fish, like from some old school comedy, like where you're just about to hit somebody with it or something. It's like, no. Men especially are going to be sensitive to the way you shake a hand. Ladies, shake a hand with firm sort of sensibilities, and you're going to get respect instantly. They're instantly not going to look at you like, I don't know, like a piece of meat or something. Shake their hand and do it with a firm grip. You're going to claim respect. Don't just offer your hand. A handshake is serious teamwork. You want to almost like use one book I read said use like almost like you're picking up a frying pan, like a nice frying pan. You know how you got to have the right amount of strength in your wrist to like keep it from dipping down to the ground, but you're not holding it too tight, right? It could be hot, anything. So use that type of pressure. And here's another thing. We'll talk about this more in a minute, but if the person's offering you some dead handshake, don't squeeze like you're trying to turn their hand into jelly. You know, you can still be firm, but, you know. Okay, let's move on. Number 2 in the handshake section, but number 8 in general, is make eye contact as you shake hands. Looking away automatically signifies negative things, like you don't have attention or respect for the other person, or maybe you're hiding something. Look into somebody's eyes long enough to memorize their eye color. Don't stare, Just observe for a moment. A little bonus to this is that it's going to click on your listening mechanism a little easier too. Now you're going to be more open to listening to this person because of the fact that you are looking at them to observe who they are. You're not judging, you're observing. Really cool. The last one for this category I'll give you is smile like they made your day. Like they made your day, like you've got your own personal joke, or this person is just one of the best human beings you've ever met. Like you just saw something in their eyes that made you happy. Now, you don't have to laugh out loud. That'll make them feel self-conscious or something. But you can smile and greet them with that real genuine, sincere warmth that you have for another human being. Let's move on to the fourth section, positioning. Positioning. Okay. If you look at old pictures of dictators or world leaders shaking hands, it is fascinating. It is fascinating because body language is different across cultures. It can be just fascinating. And so when you're talking about positioning, understand how and where you place yourself makes a difference in how you're perceived. Positioning combined with posture, oh man, you're playing with power now. All right, so here's the first one. Open up your stance. You got to angle yourself towards the person you're speaking to and open up your stance. So when you're talking to somebody, position your body in such a way that you're open to them. Don't cross your arms in front of your chest. Hold your hands behind your back. Don't slouch. All this signifies trust and comfort with the person. And since you trust them, they're going to start trusting you. Since you're comfortable with them, they're going to get comfortable with you. Because only someone that meant me harm would have something to hide. Hope that makes sense. You want to angle yourself towards the person you're talking to, because when your body is pointing towards your conversational partner, it makes them sort of want to point in towards you. If you point away, then what you're doing is showing like you don't trust them, you're showing insecurity, you're showing mistrust. So angle yourself towards the person and open up. That's number one, which is, number 10 overall. The next thing is pretty simple. Don't lean on stuff. That signifies passivity and insecurity and weakness. When you can, stand up with good posture. Stand up like you're in the moment. It signifies urgency. It signifies that this moment matters, that you matter, that you're a force for power in this situation. And if you do lean, we all do it, use posture. Don't slouch. All right, the next section is your face. You have to bring it everywhere with you. You might as well master it, right? This is an area with a lot of signaling. You study any communication seminar, and it's going to tell you 80% of communication is nonverbal. A whole lot has to do with your tonality and your body language, how your face looks while you're saying it, right? Isn't it true that FaceTime is a lot better than texting sometimes? Doesn't that make sense? There's a lot of research right now into micro expressions. There's some show where all the guy does, what's it called? It's not called Lie to Me. It's called something like that. I don't watch TV. But you get what I mean? There's a show on the USA Network where all he does is he's like a human lie detector. But here's the point. People project a lot of info without knowing it. These micro expressions are all the rage. They'll be interviewing some criminal suspect, and when they ask the question, if you were watching in a freeze frame sort of manner, you'll see how their face just contorted in a rage, but just for a millisecond, or contorted or melted in a sorrow, but just for a split second. And the human eye sometimes can't catch it unless you're really, really aware and observant, and you feel nuanced. You feel the nuances in it, right? But here's my point. You can use your face to signal information about yourself to people on purpose, just like it's doing it inadvertently. I hope that makes sense. So here's tip number 1 for this section, but it's actually number 12 out of the 16. Make your neutral face a happy face. So many times people will come up to me and remind me that I look angry when I'm just chilling. Now, I might just be in deep thought. I might just look really intense. And I'm a really fun-loving person. I keep getting it that apparently I give off sort of like an intimidating vibe. It's not what I'm going for. I'm a fun-loving person. I have a ball. All I do is laugh and joke with my friends, right? But if your neutral face, with ladies, I see it called on social media, resting blank face syndrome. One of those words women can only say about themselves, but men can't say. Any of you guys familiar with this? We'll call it RBF syndrome, resting. I don't even know how to say it without being offensive, but hey, if you've heard it, you've heard it. If you haven't, but some people claim their face at rest looks annoyed and angry, which makes people perceive them as sort of a social danger. You probably wouldn't talk to a person voluntarily who has that kind of expression on their face. They don't look approachable. Now, what it does is it says nothing about that person. It puts them at a disadvantage, but you don't know. That's just their resting face. They don't even know they're looking like that. So what about you? Make sure your face at rest looks relaxed. Make sure your face when it's at rest is looking like something's mildly amusing to you. If you're looking at the computer, kind of be in jest the whole time. People are walking by, and especially if you're in a new environment or if you're in a new workplace, et cetera, and so forth, you want to look approachable. You want to look fun. You want to look like you're happy about life, that you've got a secret nobody else knows. And, ooh, if they were your friend, they might be able to find out too. You've got to seem mysteriously happy. It can't just be like life sucks. Unhappiness, unluckiness, it's an infection. No one wants to be around that person, so don't seem like that person. Here's another one for you with your face. Number 13, don't break eye contact right away. People have a habit of looking away. When somebody catches your eyes, try not to do it. Keep the eye contact. Be confident. Smile. Sometimes they'll look away. Sometimes they'll hold your gaze. This has a lot of different effects to help you. They'll perceive you as more open. You'll feel more confident. But, of course, I got to give you like a disclaimer, right? If you hold somebody's gaze, make sure you're smiling. Because if you're not, if you're giving them this dead eye kind of look, that's real creepy. That's not what we're going for here, to creep people out. Next thing you know, they'll be pushing that My Force security thing and having their team monitoring their activities and stuff. Just be smarten up and smile. Now there's a real simple trick to smiling, right? I didn't realize everybody didn't know this, but I just want you to understand that, like, all you have to do is use your imagination. Sometimes we just don't feel like smiling. Sometimes we're nervous. Sometimes we're going into wild situations. Smiling will make the blessings come. There are small instances where maybe looking sad or looking just like the world is against you can help you. Those instances are so few and far between, I wouldn't trust it as a technique. What you want to do is project confidence. There's rarely a place, there's rarely a time when projecting confidence can be of assistance. So here's a simple trick to smiling. Imagine you're seeing something you like. This isn't about moving your face in a certain way, millionaires. This is about feeling a happy feeling and just letting it come through on your face. Hope that makes sense to somebody. Number 15, some just real quick techniques and habits. It's getting a little bit in the neuro-linguistic programming, they call it, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is an amazing science, and I won't get too deep into it here, but it's something to Google, right? I won't even, that'd be its own training in itself. Maybe I'll do one on that soon, but here are some techniques and habits that, they'll involve some kind of interaction, but at least you're going to start controlling your conversation and communication data more in a overt, intentional manner. That's all I'm looking for. All I'm looking for is to help you convert things you may do accidentally into more of a science. so to speak. Okay, here we go. Number 1, which is really number 15, mirror your posture. Mirror your posture. Okay, here's what I mean. They have done study after study that shows that people feel more comfortable around you if you stand the way they do. I'll give you a couple examples. They have their arms crossed, cross your arms. They're leaning on their right leg, lean on your right leg. Are they holding a drink? Well, hold a drink. The whole key here, though, is to not be obvious. Don't be weird, because the minute they notice what you're doing, the technique has no more power. They're like, why is this person copying? What are we in the 3rd grade? No, you don't want to seem obvious. Don't switch the minute they switch, like that annoying 4th grader who everything you say they repeat it. Everything you say they repeat it, right? Right? Stop doing that. Stop doing that, right? That's annoying. So no, that's not what you're trying to do here. What you're trying to do is subconsciously affect their rapport. So after they make a change, you wait a few seconds and then you change and you match them. Try not to look at the body part that you're about to imitate. Keep looking at them in their eyes or keep looking thoughtful while they're talking and match them very subtly. Practice this and you'll get better at it. Here's another one, and this is number 16. Mirror movements. Now, you can't be obvious, just like we just said about mirroring posture. But little things can go a long way. You guys are having a coffee. They pick up their cup, so you pick up your cup. If they smile, you smile back. Now, come on, I can't make it no more easy. Are they stepping a little bit closer to you? Step a little bit closer to them. Some people are close talkers. That's how they express intimacy. That's how they express connection. I'll tell you something else that's really, really interesting. When you're out with your friends, look and see what you do naturally. It'll blow your mind. The leader of the crew will naturally be walking in front of everybody. Or when you're having a really good conversation with somebody, you'll notice you don't even have to mirror their posture. You're doing it automatically. What I'm trying to help you do is switch more to living life by design so that you begin to affect your mentality with your psychology. It is psychology that affects physiology, but then again, it's physiology that will affect psychology. Use this to your benefit. We did a whole nother call on body language where we went through all of these gravity-defying kind of movements that you can make, because I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but anything, it can be a blind man. If a blind man crosses the finish line in the Special Olympics, he's never seen anybody do it in his life. The minute he crosses that finish line, he raises his arms in victory. Now, where did he learn that? He's never seen that in a cartoon. He's never seen that in a movie. He's never watched a sporting event where the person did that. But when you are feeling victorious, when you are feeling good, you do gravity-defying listen, somebody perks your interest. What do your eyebrows do? They go up. They defy gravity. You win the game, your arms go up. They flail in the air, right? When you're feeling good about yourself, your posture goes up. So these are all gravity-defying movements. I wanted to make this call a little bit different than the last body language call. I wanted to cover different of the nuances, but don't forget that other body language call is amazing. You can find it by going through my Instagram at Haziq Ali. It was some weeks ago, but I guarantee you'll find it if you look for it. With that said, that'll bring episode number 105 to a close. Does anybody have any feedback or any questions for anything that we went over this week? We have like a couple minutes left. *6 will unmute your line. If you have any questions, then let us know your name and where you're calling in from and what your question is. If anybody has anything. If you don't, then it's no need to force it.
Haziq, brother.
Yes, I can hear you.
Haziq, this is David from Atlanta. Hello?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. To everyone, when you smile, I remember we talked about this, smile with the corner of your mouth. If you feel slightly uncomfortable about having a complete grin on your face, Just smile from the corner of your mouth. You might look like a smart aleck, but it is a sign of confidence as well.
Okay. Yeah, good one. Good one. Thank you for that. Anybody else got anything before we get out of here?
Hey, Hazik, it's Monica. I just have a question.
Okay.
On positioning and posture, how do you feel about like a lady in a room having her hand on her hip? One hand maybe. Does that show confidence as the same as putting your hands behind your back?
Yeah, a hand on your hip. It's like you gotta just. Okay, so a lot of times when you're doing a hand on the hip movement, it's sort of like you're telling that person something they need to know. It's sort of like a almost a dictatorial kind of movement. It's sort of aggressive, and yeah, it can even be construed as somebody who's confident in their sexuality. It just depends on the setting, and so I would say use it all. But the reason I started off with those mental precepts and those mental sort of paradigms is because your body is naturally going to do what it's supposed to do based on how you're feeling. Now, if you aren't feeling a certain way, then there's different ways you can send a signal to your body like, no, we're about to feel good because we want to. But if you aren't feeling a certain way, then that's when you want to be watching these sort of things that you're doing with your body, so that way you can reclaim the moment, sort of. But to answer your question, having your hands behind your back definitely is an open body movement, and putting your hands on your hip, it is still open, but it's definitely a way different message than when your hands are behind your back and you're talking, especially as a woman.
Like there's probably more assertion to it, maybe.
Say again?
Like more of an assertiveness to it, I guess, with your hand.
Yeah, an assertiveness and an aggressive tone to it. That's exactly right. But I'll tell you, a woman with her hands behind her back, that's how you picture Margaret Thatcher, right? Or the Queen of England. It's like it's just power in it. Like you're just walking through checking on your minions. You feel me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, does anybody else have anything before we get out? Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Hi. I was going to actually make a comment towards what she said about the posture. And so, I'm sorry. My name is Quintera Spence, and I'm from Flint, Michigan. And what I noticed was it was a few pictures, different social networkings had about Michelle Obama at different conferences and things she was at, and how she stood, and how they were really showing the pictures of what she had on. And what I paid attention to is how she stood. And she stood there with her hands in front of her, but at a close C angle, I guess, but they were always in front of her. She always stood up strong with a nice, subtle smile on her face, but her hands were always in front of her, postured really nice, with a very open type of feel. And I paid attention to that a lot, and I learned when I go different places, and when I'm communicating with people or conversing with somebody, going back and forth, the way I stand with my hands in front of me makes them a little bit more comfortable to talk to me about different things. I just want to throw that sign in there.
No, that's a good one. Good call. Good call. If you study world leaders, they've got whole studies you can find on YouTube and places like that where these world leaders, when they first meet each other, when one's hopping off the plane or they're first meeting for the state dinner or whatever, they do tons of posturing and angling just to make sure when they shake hands for that first photograph, one is in power over the other. I mean, it's fascinating. So, study that stuff. Is this subject really, really, as we say every time, if this really interests you, then don't let this be the end of your studies on the subject. By all means, get out there, start collecting reference points. You're going to discover all kinds of things. So, I hope this was helpful to somebody. We got time for maybe one or two more. Anybody else got anything?
Hey, how's it going, Zeke? It's Jonah from Atlanta. And, my question is that, a lot of times when I'm, walking down the street and stuff like that, I'm deep in thought and stuff like that, and I'll notice that, I'll catch eyes with people, and they'll be looking at me what's up with this guy and stuff like that, and they think I'm staring at them, but I'm just deep in thought, and I don't even realize that I'm doing it. So how would you suggest I do that so I don't make people uncomfortable? I'm doing that stuff.
We can't control how other people feel all the time, right? The main thing is to control how you feel. As long as you're feeling confident about yourself when you're walking down the street and you're in deep thought, if they have a problem with it, they just may have a problem. But this is not to cast an illusion like we're trying to control what everybody thinks and just become like really insecure and stuff like that. The way that you fix these little problems of perception is you just be a good person. And then if you're thinking good thoughts, if you're in a good zone, when they look up, even if you bump into them, if your first expression to them is a smile, then you've just disarmed them. You're going to go about having a good day instead of getting into a fight because your first look at them is a scowl. So my whole point is that, man, this is not rocket science. This is like just being a good human being. In certain religions, they consider a smile charity. Like in Islam, they consider a smile to be charity. So the whole point is that let's take heed. There's nothing wrong with smiling at somebody and lifting their whole day up, giving somebody a compliment, helping somebody to feel better than they did before they met you. This is the whole goal of our life here on the planet, to serve each other and make each other feel better than we were before we met, right? I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, we got time for one more. Yes, sir. What is your name? Where are you from? And how'd you get on the call?
Greetings, family. This is Knowledge from Atlanta. Zeke got me on the call, and I have a power posture for when you're beating someone. For like what the Moors do, they call it the lion's grip. So if you ever want to display power over somebody when you're going to like a meeting or something like that, when they go to shake your hand, instead of grabbing their hand, you grab their forearm, and that displays a power, signifies a thing. It's an ancient thing that people do. It's called the tiger's grip. Some people call it a lion's grip as well, different Moorish sectors. So that's just a comment on some more posture. Peace to the family.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot, man. Okay, so that will do it for episode 105. I hope that was helpful to somebody out there. We'll send out the replay really soon. And if you have not downloaded Periscope yet, this would be a good time to do it, because what we're going to do in a little while is we're going to cover 5 tips for reading body language in other people. 5 tips for reading body language in other people. This call had a lot to do with how to utilize body language so that you can project self-confidence and feel better about yourself. But, you know, what I'm going to cover on Periscope is how to read body language in other people. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to do our top 5. For those that don't know, I do sort of this top 5 in 5 kind of thing on Periscope. And download it. Follow me at Hazik, and we'll get into that in a little while. But listen, this year, just like every other year, I just want you to know, this is the best we've ever been. And there's one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. Either you expand your mind to match your goals, or your goals will shrink to match your mind. I'll see you in the morning, Affirmation Nation, and let's grow.